It was 1966. As the civil rights movement grew in the United States, then Senator Bobby Kennedy traveled to Cape Town, South Africa, at the height of apartheid, to deliver his famous Ripple of Hope speech. Among the many memorable lines, he said this:
"There is a Chinese curse which says, 'May he live in interesting times.'"
His interesting times, America of the 1960s, have a lot of similarities to ours today. Protests in the streets, civil unrest over systemic racism, and deep ideological battles about equal rights. We can check all those boxes today. But there's an important distinction to make, one that could have far wider implications for the future of our democracy. Tensions were high in the 1960s, no doubt, but so was trust. Back in 1964, 77% of Americans believed their government would do the right thing all or most of the time. Can you believe that? Today, that number is 20%. And faith in how we choose the people who run that government is also eroding. Exhibit A, the Electoral College. Sounds like an ivy-covered building nestled away in New England, but it's a process, not a place, and it's one that's spelled out in the U.S. Constitution. Here's how it works. States are assigned electors equal to their number of representatives in Congress, plus 2 more, 1 for each senator. It's a system that gives states with smaller populations an advantage, perhaps too much of one, when it comes to electing a president. For example, Wyoming, which has 3 electors, the minimum allocated by law, an electoral vote represents around 190,000 people, while each of New York's 29 electors represent nearly 4 times that number. And with a mostly winner-take-all system, even the tiniest margin of victory in the state can deliver a big bounty of electoral votes towards the 270 needed to become the next president of the United States. 2 of the last 5 presidential elections were won by candidates who actually lost the popular vote. George W. Bush in 2000 and Donald J. Trump back in 2016. He trailed Hillary Clinton by nearly 3 million votes. Since then, the number of Americans who say it's time to end that system has grown overall, from about half in 2016 to nearly 2/3 today. So is the Electoral College hanging by a Chad? That depends on which side of the aisle you're on. Unsurprisingly, attitudes about the system divide sharply down party lines. The vast majority of Democrats want the Electoral College repealed. Republicans, not so much. That's another big difference from the 1960s, by the way, when a roughly equal number of Democrats and Republicans wanted the popular vote to determine the presidency. Add in a pandemic, which is changing how we vote, foreign interference from Russia, China, even Iran, and historic polarization that has deeply divided the nation, and our times surely rival Bobby Kennedy's on the interesting scale. He may have been wrong about it being a Chinese curse. There is, however, an old proverb that goes something like this: better to be a dog in tranquil times than a human in times of chaos. Moose agrees.